My name is Kangol Kid. I'm a member of one of the first nationally recognized rap groups. That group was called UTFO, made popular by a hit song in the mid-'80s called Roxanne, Roxanne. I've always been interested in the entertainment business. I didn't grow up saying I wanted to be a hip-hop artist because when I was a kid, hip-hop didn't exist. So I would watch television shows like Tom Jones, Donnie and Marie, the Jacksons, Osmond Brothers. You know, I watched entertainers like that do their thing on TV and said, when I grow up, I want to do what they're doing. So I always knew I wanted to be an entertainer, but it wasn't a hip-hop artist that I was really trying to become. I just wanted to get up on that stage and make everyone enjoy themselves, be the major reason why someone is having a good time at my expense. Why not? Once I got interested into hip-hop from, of course, Sugar Hill Gang with Rapper's Delight, I started to hang out with cats who would tell me about shows that were taking place in, various clubs like Harlem World or Disco Fever. And one of my greatest memories of going to Harlem World was watching acts like Fearless 4, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, Cold Crush Brothers, watching these cats perform. And back then hip-hop was so brand new that you were allowed to bring a boombox into this club and record what's taking place. So I would have my boombox on my shoulder, record button set, and as the Furious 5 and the Fearless 4 and the Cold Crush Brothers are doing their thing, and the Treacherous 3, can't forget them, as they're all doing their thing, I'm recording the whole show, which was a form of homework for me, research, to hone in on my craft, because in order to be hot out there in the world, you need to be as hot as what's going on, and then your focus is to work on being better. So those cats were the hot cats during that time, and I just loved watching them do what they were doing and just was incredibly impressed. The first time I was introduced to 2 turntables and a mixer was my older brother, God rest his soul. He was the first to buy a turntable set, had it in the basement, and he had his boys that he formed a hip-hop crew with. And whenever they would all congregate, in the basement, I would join in just to hang out. And so when my brother and his boys would get on the mic and do their thing, they'd allow me to get on as well. And when I got on, all of my brother's boys would say, "Yo, your little brother's hotter than you, man. He's nice." So my older brother barred me from the basement and said, when his friends come over, I am not allowed to attend. So that's all the fuel I needed to say, all right, you know what? I'm going to start my own crew. And so I started my little hip-hop clique of cats that wanted to do this as well. And that actually fueled me to become who I am today. I wanted to prove him and everyone wrong that I should not be dismissed from any area for being hot. Like, who gets kicked out for being nice? Word of mouth was everything. So I've learned, and I share this as I do a lot of speaking engagements, an up-and-coming artist's job is to use every area as a form of promotion. Like, you're always on stage. That's the mentality you're supposed to have. And so whenever I'd go to any party, my switch is on, and if someone is, on the mic doing their thing, I'd ask them, can I get on so I can do a little something also? And in most cases, they would let me. But there are those particular events where it's, a secured amount of individuals, and no one who is unauthorized is to, not to touch this mic or whatever. And so I would ask these cats, can I get on? And they'd say no. And so my response would be, I want to battle you. Now they got to give me the mic. And so I just used every venue, every club, anything as a stage, and I would either get on the mic and show everyone how well I could rap, or I'd use that dance floor to show cats how well I could dance. My mother and father are from Haiti, and West Indian families, all they want to know is that their children are going to grow up to become doctors, lawyers, engineers, something that they can brag to their friends about. So when I decided to get into this world of hip hop as a rapper, as a breakdancer, my parents absolutely did not understand that. So they were not fans of what I was doing. My dad was a cab driver, so he absolutely wanted his son to become something that he could brag about, outside of driving cabs. And I remember one day during the success of our single Roxanne, Roxanne, my dad picked up a passenger. He couldn't wait to come home and tell me the story. He said he picked up a passenger and Roxanne, Roxanne came on the radio and the passenger was in the back seat singing the song. So he said to the passenger, "Hey, you like that song?" And the passenger said, yeah, the song is hot. He said, "Really?" He said, "That's my son." The passenger said, "Man, get out of here, man. That ain't your kid, man." He's like, "No, for real, that's my son." He said, "Well, if that's your kid, what are you doing driving a cab?" And that's when my dad realized, wow, my son has become that thing that I can brag about. And that's when he went from being my dad to being my friend. What is my favorite highlight moment? You do understand I have 30 years in this business, and there are hundreds of highlights that have taken place in my world. Again, I said I grew up watching, acts like the Jackson 5. And so I remember I had a friend of mine who was an executive at Sony who introduced me to Tito Jackson. And right before he made the introduction, Tito says, "Oh, come on, man. I know who this is, man. What's going on, man?" So I'm like, oh my God, a Jackson knows me? So that's an incredible highlight. Another highlight is I was at a Grammy party and introduced myself to Denzel Washington. And as I'm introducing myself, he says the same thing. "Come on, man, I know who you are, man. Did you take it to the beach?" Yo, I froze. I didn't know how to respond. I was like, yeah, took it to the beach. And it was just crazy, man, having cats like that know who I am. There's all kinds of moments, man. Being on Soul Train, because Soul Train was that weekend school for me. Every Saturday, Soul Train taught me how to be hip. The latest dance, the latest hit songs, the attire, all of that. And so going on Soul Train and standing on that stage, that big artwork of that train on the stage, here I am standing on that thing that I've watched all my life. And then Don Cornelius, God rest his soul, comes out and interviews me. I'm like, yo, the only people I've ever seen on this stage are stars. So I must be that dude right now. Only stars stand here. I have to be a star. There's no other way I could have possibly gotten here. And so that was a highlight in my life as well. So there's hundreds, man, for real. My challenges were incredible. A lot of the challenges early hip hop artists have gone through, which are having this industry recognize hip hop as a form of music. We were touring in the early days with bands. Cats that had hit records out, but they were bands. And so, they frowned upon us. They looked down at us as we came on stage with two turntables. That was our band, the two turntables and a mixer. And so having people to respect us as entertainers was challenging. Another challenge is, again, I said my mom and dad are from Haiti. And, in the early 80s, late 70s, it wasn't cool to be a Haitian American. So I had to keep that under wraps. There were so many negative stereotypes that exist. They were saying Haitians brought AIDS to America. That was one, false accusation that was made that, Haitian Americans had to deal with. There were a lot of other negative things that took place with being Haitian American, but I had to keep that whole thing under wraps because I was already dealing with the prejudice that exists as, when it came to being a hip hop artist. And, why throw another, strike against me by saying, and by the way, I know you don't like hip hop, but I'm also a Haitian American. Why would I do that? Hip hop is the only form of music that's recognized as a sport, because rappers battle each other, DJs battle each other, graffiti artists, breakdancers. And as a fighter, as an athlete, why would you tell your opponent what your weaknesses are? You don't do that. And so in no way would I ever share at that early stage in hip hop that I'm Haitian, because I would have just gave every hip hop artist that wanted to battle me ammunition on how to get at me. And so I absolutely had to keep what was recognized as a weakness at that point. I had to keep that under wraps. We, as UTFO, have been the first of many things. As I said, I am the first Haitian American in the world of hip hop. And when I say that, I mean my mother is from Haiti. My father is from Haiti. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, but it's no question I ain't mixed in any way, to my knowledge. Full-blooded Haitian American, born here in America. So the first in hip hop is that. Let's see, UTFO was the first to record an R&B ballad. That song was called Fairy Tale Lover. We performed it on Soul Train. And before then, no rap group had a hit love ballad on the charts. So we're the first to do that. We opened up for Hall & Oates at the Apollo. They had closed the Apollo for many years. It was going under renovation. And when they reopened it, we opened up for Hall & Oates. And years later, we were told we are the first rap group to ever perform at the Apollo. Sold out crowd, celebrities galore, Tony Danza, and you name it, I mean, all kinds of celebrities were in the audience. I am the first product endorsed hip hop artist. The brand that I was endorsed by was Kangol headwear, the Kangol hat, as you guys know, where the name came from. Because as a teenager, I wore the Kangol hat every day. No, I did not name myself Kangol Kid. Everyone started to call me Kangol Kid because of the hat that I wore. And so when we recorded our single, and I used the name Kangol Kid, Kangol Headwear reached out to the record company, sent them a cease and desist letter stating that we are using the name unlawfully, and if we do not stop, we will be sued. They later realized that every city I performed in, the sales of the Kangol hat went up. So they worked the deal out with us, allowing me to use the name on a year-to-year basis. And years later, of course, a year or two later, Run DMC and Adidas, MC Hammer with KFC, and every artist was getting endorsed by whatever brand. But my deal with Kangol Headwear was the first deal ever in the world of hip-hop. One of the things that I'm extremely proud of is the way I've grown to realize how I've touched people. What I mean by that is there was a time that I was that, poster, artist, and girls screaming and everyone wants autograph and so on. And it was a scary time to actually go out because you don't know what fanatic. There's a big difference between fans and fanatics. You don't know what fanatic is going to be out there. But today, I don't deal with fanatics. I deal with genuine fans who were touched by our music, who our music helped them get through college or get them through whatever turmoil they were going on in their world. And they share that with me, like, yo, I just want to thank you for what you did. And when I meet those people, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know I touched people that way. And so what I'm most proud about when it comes to touching people is what I've done in the last 4 years, in which I created a movement in which myself and my former manager, Sean DeLumpkin, and I, we've been helping those that have had family members go through breast cancer. And family members and individuals that, have this dreadful disease. The movement is called Mama Luke, in honor of Shonda's mom, who was like a mom to me. And I reached out to my first line of defense, which is hip hop. These are the news anchors to the streets. That's who classic hip hop was or is. And we got the word out, with whatever. I mean, here I am from Brooklyn, New York, and I didn't know what Compton was until NWA said Straight Outta Compton. So they got that word out from the West Coast to the East Coast and around the world about this place called Compton. And so being able to do that through this thing called hip hop, I said, I'm going to reach out to my hip hop soldiers and we're going to get this word out about this thing called breast cancer. And I am happy to say that we've helped a lot of people through it. We're still doing it. I'm going to be here doing it until this disease is gone, so I'm extremely proud of how I've touched people with that movement, and I'm proud of all of my hip-hop brothers and sisters that have helped me make this happen. So I'm going to say Mama Luke movement is my proudest moment in being a member of this hip-hop community. I always imagined myself being recognized and remembered for being a member of this incredible rap group, UTFO. But once I started this movement in which hip-hop is fighting breast cancer, I've had so many people say to me, you had great success as an entertainer, but you do know that when you leave this world, everyone's going to remember you for the work you've done fighting breast cancer. And that shocks me. I never thought that from becoming a hip-hop artist, I would become this word called philanthropist. I couldn't even say that word a few years ago. And it's just incredible that that may be what I'm remembered on this planet for in the future. And I accept. It's a proud thing to be. It's an honorable thing to be. And I enjoy being that, an individual who cares about others. I love that. Understand who we are and what we've done. You're not obligated to do anything special for that, but you are obligated to know where you came from. It took for cats like us to get robbed, for cats today to get paid. So when you make that money and you do what you do, just remember, what we had to go through to make that happen for y'all. And I'm not bitter about it at all. Somebody had to do it first, and I'm just happy to be one of the first to have done it. But I want you guys to do this thing called hip-hop responsibly, because we were kids when we were doing it, so we were acting our age. And we are the adults in hip-hop today that you will become. So there was no one to guide us when we were doing it, so we made a lot of mistakes. You have no excuse. You can learn from the mistakes that we've made and make this thing called hip-hop better than it's ever been. And that's your responsibility.